Today, let's step into a world where the unthinkable becomes reality, as parents transform from protectors to predators. In this gripping exploration of twisted minds and shattered expectations, we confront the harrowing truth that darkness can reside even within the most profound bonds of family, leaving us questioning the very nature of parental love and the depths to which it can descend. Brace yourself to explore 5 of the most horrifying stories of children murdered by their very own parents. Case 1. Louise Porton. Louise Porton, a woman from the UK, caused the deaths of her 2 young daughters, Lexi Draper, age 3, and Scarlett Vaughn, age 17 months, due to them getting in the way of her sex life. Louise referred to herself as a model, and before the horrific murder of her children, would promise sexual acts in exchange for money from men met online. In the early hours of January 15th, Louise strangled both of her daughters to death before laughing and continuing with her day. She was reported to have no emotional reaction to their murder, and, perhaps scariest of all, had no record of any physical or mental disorders to explain her actions. She simply had no care to give her own 2 daughters. The disturbing incidents led to criminal charges against her, and Louise was ultimately found guilty of their murders in 2019. During the trial, details emerged regarding the neglect and mistreatment the children had endured under their mother's care. Louise's actions were further compounded by her troubling behavior, which included sending explicit photos of herself to men shortly after the deaths of her daughters. Court proceedings revealed that Porton had suffocated both Lexi and Scarlett deliberately, with prosecutors suggesting that her motive may have been linked to her lifestyle and personal desires. However, the exact reasons behind her actions remain unclear. This case has prompted increased awareness regarding child protection across England and stands as a reminder of the importance of early intervention when abuse or neglect is suspected.
No.
They're not breeding?
No.
Okay. And who was it we're talking about?
Lexi, she's 3.
She's 3.
Case 2. Melissa Wright. In 2002, when her daughter Ashley Smith was just 14 months old, Melissa committed an unimaginable act. She placed Ashley inside an oven, inflicting severe third-degree burns and causing immense physical and emotional trauma. Melissa, a resident of Millbrook, pleaded guilty in 2003 to the disturbing act of placing her young daughter into a hot oven at their Elmore County home. During the parole hearing, Houston presented evidence that showed Wright had removed the oven racks, turned the oven to broil, and placed Ashley headfirst into the scorching oven. According to Houston, the oven was estimated to have reached a temperature of 600 degrees, though it remains unclear how long Ashley remained inside before her father intervened and pulled her out. After the incident, Melissa Wright faced legal consequences for her actions. In 2003, she pleaded guilty to attempted murder, resulting in a 25-year prison sentence. The case garnered significant media attention, shedding light on the devastating impact of child abuse and the urgent need to protect vulnerable children from such horrors. Following the shocking act of abuse, Ashley underwent an excruciating journey of physical and emotional recovery. She endured a staggering total of 28 reconstructive surgeries to address the extensive burns and injuries inflicted upon her.
I've had 38 surgeries. It was painful, but I got through it.
Throughout her childhood, Ashley received care and support from her loving aunt and uncle, Rhonda and Tommy Zafina, who took on the role of guardians and provided a stable and nurturing environment for her growth and healing. Despite the immense physical and emotional pain she endured, Ashley has found the strength within herself to forgive her mother, Melissa Wright, for the horrific act.
I do not hate her. I do not love her. I don't want to see her.
Case 3. Angela McAnulty. Angela McAnulty gained notoriety for her involvement in the abuse and murder of her teenage daughter, Jeanette Maples, in 2009. The case sent shockwaves through the community and garnered substantial media coverage due to the horrifying nature of the abuse Jeanette endured. Alongside her then-husband, Richard McAnulty, Angela subjected Jeanette to relentless physical and emotional torment, ultimately resulting in her tragic death. The abuse endured by Jeanette included beatings, starvation, and other forms of cruelty, leading to her severe physical and psychological deterioration. Despite the visible signs of abuse, the McAnulty family concealed the ongoing torment inflicted upon Jeanette, preventing her from seeking help. Jeanette's life was tragically cut short in December 2009 when she succumbed to the abuse, ultimately dying from malnutrition and blunt force trauma. The case exposed a resounding failure of the system to protect a vulnerable child from unimaginable suffering. Angela McAnulty was arrested and charged with aggravated murder, murder by abuse, and first-degree manslaughter, among other charges. In 2011, she pleaded guilty to the charges and was subsequently sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole.
Angela McAnulty trial, the woman who admitted to killing her daughter, 15-year-old Jeanette Maples.
The case of Angela McAnulty highlights the devastating consequences of child abuse and neglect. It serves as an awful reminder of the importance of recognizing and reporting signs of abuse, as well as the critical need for community support and intervention to protect vulnerable children. Many criticized those around Jeanette that failed her, not only her parents, but teachers, friends, and other family members who each turned a blind eye to the teenager's tragic reality and ultimately sealing her fate. Case 4. China Arnold. China Arnold, born on July 15, 1979, gained notoriety for her involvement in a tragic case that unfolded in
less
2005.
than 7 hours to convict China Arnold of aggravated murder.
The events that unfolded centered around the death of her 3-week-old daughter, Paris Taylor, in a deeply disturbing and horrifying incident that shook the community to its core. In the early hours of the morning, China and her boyfriend rushed their unresponsive daughter to the hospital, desperately seeking help for the distressed infant. But it quickly became apparent that Paris had passed away long before she arrived at the hospital. China denied any involvement in her death, and yet, the infant's body was covered in horrific and strange burns that were both gruesome and unnatural. As investigators delved deeper into the circumstances surrounding Paris's condition, they uncovered the horrifying truth that left the community stunned and speechless. Prosecutors alleged that China had placed her defenseless baby girl in a microwave oven, inflicting fatal injuries that no child should ever have to endure. The gravity and brutality of the act defied comprehension, sending shockwaves through the hearts of all who heard the details. The details of this incident are deeply distressing and heart-wrenching. The thought of a newborn being subjected to such unimaginable suffering is beyond comprehension. The magnitude of the crime committed by China Arnold sent shockwaves not only through the local community, but also drew significant attention from the media, prompting discussions about the safeguarding of children and the urgent need for intervention when signs of distress are detected. Case 5. Nathan Weitzel. In a disturbing incident that unfolded in 2016, Nathan Weitzel, a 31-year-old man from Centennial, Colorado, pleaded guilty to attempted murder after deliberately crashing his car into parked vehicles at a high speed. Shockingly, Weitzel's 2-year-old son was left unbuckled in the car during the intentional collision. Driven by the influence of drugs, Weitzel embarked on a rampage that forever shattered lives. Accelerating at an alarming 75 miles per hour, he aimed to harm his own child by crashing the car. The aftermath revealed his chilling admission that he wanted to end his son's life due to feelings of inadequacy as a father and the influence of his drug use.
Wait, why is he doing that? Because the baby's crying in his ear, and he's upset. So
While the young child, Isaiah, has physically recovered from the severe injuries sustained during the crash, the emotional trauma remains profound. Isaiah's journey to healing is marred by a visible scar on his forehead, a constant reminder of the unspeakable act his own father committed. The court recognized the lasting impact on the child, highlighting the importance of holding Weitzel accountable, even though no amount of punishment can undo the irreversible damage caused. These stories are examples of the devastating consequences that violence, abuse, and neglect can have on the most vulnerable members of our society, children. They shed light on the depths of human depravity and the profound responsibility that parents bear in nurturing and safeguarding their offspring. In our exploration of these stories, we have encountered the unsettling reality that some parents who should serve as the guardians and nurturers of their children instead become perpetrators of unspeakable acts that lead to the suffering and demise of their own flesh and blood. These cases force us to confront the dark depths to which some individuals can sink, defying our expectations and shattering the innocence and trust that should exist within the parent-child relationship. As we grapple with the horrors that children continue to face today, it is crucial that we come together as a society to protect and safeguard their well-being. The question arises, how can we unite and create a collective force to shield the innocent from such heinous acts? These children were failed, not just by their parents, but the very towns, cities, and systems that they lived under. What more should be done to stop these heinous crimes, and where does this change begin?